Babylon is falling, it's falling, it's falling. Babylon is falling, rise no more.
Babylon is falling to rise no more. Babylon is falling, it's falling, it's falling. Babylon is falling to rise no more. All the merchants stand and wonder, what is this that's come to pass? Murmuring like a distant thunder, crying alas, alas, alas. Swell the sound of kings and nobles, priests and people, rich and poor. Babylon is falling, it's falling, it's falling. Babylon is falling to rise no more. That was another verse that they didn't sing in the song. Isn't that great? Oh yeah, I've waited a long time to do this message. Babylon is falling, it's falling, it's falling. We are announcing Babylon is fallen. This is part of our series. This is our second angel. Our second angel cries out, Babylon is fallen, is fallen, and is fallen. We find this in Revelation chapter 14. Our second angel. And another followed him, another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, the great city, because she made all the nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Babylon is fallen. Guys, in this message, we're talking about Babylon is fallen, and we didn't have time to do the notes in the time I'm doing the video, okay? When I finish the video, upload the video, I'm going to do a page of notes on Babylon is fallen, which will accompany this message. Just didn't have the time to do it. So we see this here as part of the four angels, okay? We did the first angel. He had the seal of God. He had the fire, okay? He measures the prayers of the saints. Now we come to the second angel, and he says, Babylon is fallen. Now, when we find ourselves in Revelation 14, and we have these four angels, okay, the four angels that we see here are perfectly ordered. Now, the order of them precedes Revelation 14, and it follows Revelation 14. But we have the perfect order here. So now what we're going to do, we're going to look at the second angel as it precedes Revelation 14 and as it follows, okay? The verse 8 of Revelation 14, that's all it says, okay? But once we find this angel, once we find the message of the angel, once we find the consistent pattern to all of these, okay? So we saw clearly in Ezekiel, the first angel, all right? Now when we look at this one, we're going to look at Jeremiah, or in Hebrew, Yeremahu, okay? Chapter 50 and 51 are prophecies of Babylon is fallen. Now, Babylon is expressed as being fallen right here in Revelation 14. It's the first time the expression is used. Then you see Babylon fallen in Revelation 18, okay, when the merchants mourn and everything. But let's take a step back. Let's go and find our first example of the second angel. All right, the second angel we find in Revelation 8, verse 13. I beheld, I heard an eagle flying. Okay, now this is an eagle flying. The King James Version says angel. Okay, but the ancient Greek, the word is eagle, an eagle flying. So this is a messenger. Okay, this messenger is like the cherubim, where it's lion, ox, man, eagle. Okay, so this is in the order of eagle, and it's also the woes. So we have the introduction to the woes, okay? Flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpets of the three angels which have yet to sound. So this comes at the fourth trumpet. At the fourth trumpet, we have this flying eagle. Okay, so this is in the line of our second angel. Okay, our second angel, and it's in the order of the eagle, of the cherubim as well. All right, but what he's doing, he's saying woe, woe, woe. Now in the Greek, the original word here for woe is the same word for alas in the King James Version that we see with the merchants. Okay, so he's saying woe, 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 and there's three woes. So trumpet number 5 is a woe. Trumpet number 6 is a woe. Trumpet number 7 is a woe. Okay, but it has dual meaning. Okay, the other meaning is that the woes relate to Babylon. Babylon is fallen, and it's going to fall 3 times. Okay, 3 times we can see that. We can see these woes. Now it's fallen when the 5th angel sounded. Okay, so that's the first woe. And this is Babylon is fallen. What has happened? The locust army. The 5th trumpet is the locust army. Now, in the message of the locust army, we have the detail of the message, and then you have Yahweh Sabaoth, the Lord of hosts, his army. His army goes forth to fight Mystery Babylon. They fight Mystery Babylon. That's what you see in Revelation 9, 13 through 19. Okay? But we have something very insightful here, because we have the 5th angel sounded. Then it says this in verse 20. The rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues. Okay? Remember how we saw the word plague in the Greek. Okay? By these plagues. So what is it saying? It's saying the plagues that preceded that verse. What were they? The 6th trumpet. The 5th trumpet. Okay, so it's talking about those trumpets specifically, and the other trumpets and the seals. But if we consider what it's saying, okay, we're not killed by these plagues. Yet they repented not of their works of their hands, that they should not worship devils. That's Babylon. The idols of gold and silver and brass and stone, nor of wood, neither can they see, nor they hear, nor walk. Neither repented they of their murders, nor of their pharmakia. Neither repented they of their pharmakia. Now this is how we only know what this interpretation is until we're in the time. We're in the day, okay? And in the day, now we can see what the King James, it says sorcery, but the original Greek, the work is pharmakia. And what it's saying is that the pharmakia has been released. We know the pharmakia is the mark of the beast, okay? But it's giving us an indication here that the pharmakia is associated with the 5th trumpet, the locust, as we've been telling you, okay? So the people are not repenting, all right? They're seeing all these signs. The whole world is shut down. That's what the shutdown is, guys. The shutdown is Babylon is fallen. All right, Babylon is fallen. That's the first one. That's the first Babylon is fallen. The hour of judgment is come. Okay, so Babylon is fallen. So that's Revelation 9. Those that were not killed by these plagues, okay, and neither repented they of the pharmakia. There it is clearly. Now we know we're in this time. The information about the prophecy is correct. the fifth trumpet has been released. That is this whole coronavirus thing. All right. So this is preceding Babylon is fallen in Revelation 14. All right. So now we can see in Revelation 9 what it means. Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth. All right. Then we come to Revelation 14 and what? Babylon is fallen. All right. Now let's go after Revelation 14 and let's look at Babylon is fallen. Okay. So the same angel, the second angel, that his message is Babylon is fallen. All right. We find in Revelation 18 verse 1, after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice. So this language here is similar to what we saw with the angel of the covenant in Revelation 14, okay? But we believe this angel here, this mighty angel, is the second angel, the second messenger, because he cried with a loud voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, is become a habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, in a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Why? Well, we saw in the fifth trumpet, the bottomless pit is opened. So it's releasing all these things, and these are the types of things that it's releasing. Okay? So now, it's important that we understand what's happening here. After these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. All right? So it's lightened, so it gives the idea of, I'm not going to look it up, but basically, this word in Greek, okay, has to do with revelation knowledge. It says in Ephesians 1 verse 18 that the eyes of your understanding would be enlightened. It's the same word, okay? So what this means is that when this second angel comes, okay, and the message of the second angel comes at the time Babylon's fallen, that's when he enlightens the earth, okay, those dwelling on the earth, those that are discerning, okay, he enlightens the earth with revelation knowledge. What is the revelation knowledge? Who is Babylon? Hopefully you can see who is Babylon. Babylon has displayed itself over the whole earth throughout this whole thing. It's not one country. It's not one thing. You cannot narrow it down. It covers the whole earth. There's no escaping Babylon, okay? You don't waste your time saying, okay, it's the Vatican, it's New York, it's Jerusalem. Yes, it's all those, okay? Mystery Babylon, she sits on 7 mountains. So there's 7 main locations of Mystery Babylon. 7 main mountains that she sits on, okay? We have other videos on that, and we'll summarize some of what we're going to present here as we have shown you in previous videos. We're going to have to reference those because we've already covered a lot of Revelation 18. So it's at this time he enlightens the earth with his glory. Amazing. In verse 3, this is a continuation of the second angel. For all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. The kings of earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Now, what do we have here? We have the nations drunk with the wine of the wrath of fornication. The kings of the earth, okay, committed fornication. And the merchants. Now, all of these are... It doesn't appear that way. There's disputing and fighting and war and all this stuff. But they're all working in concert with Mystery Babylon, as it says here. They're all in on this, all right? So we've covered these nations because there are specific nations and there's specific prophecy in Ezekiel as it relates to these. This is where they get the 70 nations. Okay, the 70 nations come from this because you have Mystery Babylon sits on 7 mountains, okay? And then there are, let me get my notes. Okay, then there are 24 drunk nations in Jeremiah 25, and then in Ezekiel 27, there's 39 merchants. So 7 plus 24 plus 39 equals 70. That's the 70 nations, okay? And the nations are listed specifically in an order in Jeremiah 25, and those are the drunk nations. We have the merchants, Ezekiel 27, listing the 39 merchants, okay? So there's specific nations that are involved in this. Now, these nations can have a spiritual significance, because in the ancients, the whole known world was basically, the area around the Middle East, right? So now you have the whole earth. So some of those cities, like Babylon, okay, that's just Iraq. That's not ruling the world, okay? So it has to be something else that meets the description of Mystery Babylon. So there are spiritual types and shadows of the nations, all right? We don't have time to do that now, but we have other videos on that. Now, when he finishes talking about the drunk nations, the kings of the earth, and the merchants, those three, all right? Then, verse 4 of Revelation 18, I heard another voice from heaven. Okay, now, so we have the second angel. Now, we have another voice from heaven. Now, this other voice from heaven is like a second witness. Okay, so it's expounding, it's enforcing what the second angel said in verse 1 through 3. Okay, now in verse 4, we have another voice, and it's continuing the prophecy. It's continuing the message. So we'll show you how this is all one cohesive message in Jeremiah 50 and 51. But what does it say? I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, that you receive not of her plagues, plagues. Okay? So now, the earth is going to increase in plagues, increase in judgments, okay? But we should not be concerned about those judgments if we've come out of Mystery Babylon, okay? Now, Mystery Babylon, what it's going to do, it's going to control the people, it's going to manipulate and do everything to get them to take the mark of the beast, right? So you have to come out of her so you don't receive these judgments, right? Remember the children of Israel, when they were in Egypt, they were not subject to the plagues of Egypt, okay? They were in Goshen, they were completely protected. But when they went to wander in the wilderness, they were subject to plagues. They were subject to judgments because they came out of Egypt, okay? But they didn't get Egypt out of them. They didn't get the wickedness out of their own heart. They ended up complaining to God, and they ended up being subject to plagues. That's the same message this is saying here. That Babylon has fallen, don't go down with her, okay? Now, in order to explain this to you, this is going to be very difficult, because most of the institutional Christianity is Mystery Babylon itself. So that the whole framework of the foundation of many of you, okay, I'm saved, I'm born again, and all those things, yeah. But you're living in sin. You're living in adultery. You're committing sin. You're breaking the commandments. So that's what the institutional Christianity does. It shows you how to make you think you're saved, make you think you're born again, you're good, you're going to heaven, right? But, you're part of Mystery Babylon. You're actually not part of the true believers in Jesus Christ. Because if you are, they're trying to kill you, okay? You can see that Mystery Babylon is drunk on the blood, okay? So the persecution is ramping up. Okay, so verse 24, in her was found the blood of the prophets and the saints and that were slain upon the earth, okay? So the persecution is going to increase, okay? So you should be subject to persecution. You should rejoice, okay? Now, when you were apostate and you were a sinner and you were doing your own thing, you didn't have persecution. Everything was great, right? We start doing this, you start following the Most High. He sends you into the wilderness. He sends you into testing, discipline, okay? And when that happens, then the persecution, the warfare increases, all right? Now her sins have reached into heaven, and God will remember her iniquities, and reward her double for her works. In the cup that she has filled, fill her double. How much she has glorified herself and lived deliciously, and much torment give her, for in her heart she said, I sit a queen, I am no widow, I see no sorrow. Therefore her plagues will come in one day, death, mourning, and famine. She shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord who judges her. The kings of the earth who have committed fornication and have lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off from the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, the great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour Your judgment is come. And this is the word, alas, alas. That's the woes we heard earlier. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, as for no man buys her merchandise anymore. And the merchandise, okay, now it gets into the merchandise, and we see an inventory. Now what that inventory is the third temple. So in the third temple, all these nations are bringing the merchandise, are bringing the things necessary to build a third temple. It may not seem like it, but that is going on. That's what you're seeing through the Trump peace deal and all these Abraham Accords and all this. What you don't see is that they're bowing to Jerusalem, okay? And the third temple is going to come. So it describes all these things, and the merchants of these things, which were made rich by her, shall stand afar off from the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, the great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour so great riches come to naught, and every shipmaster and all that command the ships and the sailors and the many of them that trade by the sea stood afar off and cried and saw the smoke of her burning and said, what city is like this great city? And they cast dust upon their heads, and they cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, the great city, where made rich by the ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. In 1 hour she is made desolate. Rejoice over her, you heaven, you holy apostles and prophets, for God has avenged you of her. That's why I laugh, because I do this channel and people are still talking about voting and jobs and economy. That's all Babylon. That's a whole worldly system. That's what false Christianity is, guys. The false Christianity system is the whole thing, is all those guys with the 7 mountains and the dominionism, and what they think is they're going to take over the world. If they take over the world, then Jesus is going to come. It's never. His kingdom is not of this earth. That's what he said. His kingdom is not of this earth. So this whole earth, this whole system, the people are deceived, and they think that they're doing something for God when they're actually doing something for Mystery Babylon. But if you stand for your true faith in Jesus Christ, and you make a true stand on ridding your heart of Mystery Babylon, okay, then the persecution is going to come. You're going to find yourself in a lonely place. So here we see Babylon is fallen. Now, we also see this in Jeremiah chapters 50 and 51. These are long. We're not going to read the whole thing. We're going to go through some bullet points. So remember, we saw the second angel, and we also saw that there was a second witness. Another voice from heaven gave a second witness to this, okay? Let's go to Jeremiah 50:51. And the word of the Lord came to Babylon against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet. Declare among the nations, publish, set up a standard, publish, and conceal it not. Babylon is taken. Bel is confounded, is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded. Her images are broken in pieces. So Babylon is fallen. Okay? That's the same thing we saw in Revelation. Now let's go to verse 5. And they shall ask the way to Zion with their faces toward it, saying, come, let us join ourselves unto Yahweh into a perpetual covenant that shall not be forgotten. And my people have been lost sheep, and their shepherds have caused them to go astray. And they have turned them away on the mountains, and they have gone from the mountain to the hill, and they have forgotten their resting place. Okay? So this is what we're saying. The apostate church, the false shepherds, they're all in Mystery Babylon. They're not going to help you in the days of tribulation. Okay? So again, that's this clear message of coming out of her. Okay? It's also here, verse 16. Cut off the sower from Babylon, and him that handles the sickle in the time of harvest, for fear of the oppressing sword. Okay? So this is what's going to happen. The food supply is going to be shut off. Okay? It says it right here. Babylon is fallen. Okay? The sower is cut off from Babylon, him that handles the sickle from the time of harvest, for fear of the oppressing sword. They shall turn everyone to his people, and they shall flee everyone to his own land. Okay? So, again, what does this mean? This means fleeing Babylon. Get out of Babylon. Flee it. Those of us that saw this coming, we left America, okay? We fled. Now, those of you who are there, it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough, But You have to understand how to get Babylon out of the inside of you. Okay? And if you think that in your mind, you have a religious filter and you think, oh, I'm good, of self-righteousness, but you're actually part of Babylon. You're actually part of making all your decisions on money, on mammon. You're serving money and not God. So you have to come out of her. Okay? That's why we're doing the school. Okay? We're going to have more on how to do the school, how to be a disciple, how to do this full time, how to come out of Babylon completely. Because what's going to happen is, for many of you, we're going to go into another phase of Babylon being shut down, because we saw there's 4 phases of the locust. And if the locust lasts 5 months, that's how long that the locust lifespan is. Okay, there's going to be phases to the plague, right? So when those phases have, there's going to be more shutdowns. Okay, there's going to be more and more shutdowns, more and more situations where you're going to have to make a decision. Okay, you keep your job, or you got to get vaccinated. You know, so all these decisions are going to come up. But rejoice. Don't you think the Most High knew about all this already? Okay, so rejoice. So what do? Well, you must not be ignorant. If you're ignorant, you don't know what you don't know. Okay, so you must be educated. That's what we're going to do. The school. You can go through this whole YouTube channel, it's a whole training on the whole book of Revelation. It's a whole manual, and it's not what we think. It's what the scriptures say. You see how we're in Jeremiah 50, 51. Okay, the destruction. It's the same thing you see in Revelation 18. Okay, so there's so much here. There's only a few things we're going to mention. It was in the song. So in the song, they were talking about blowing the trumpet in the destruction of Babylon. Let's go to Jeremiah 51:25. Behold, I am against you, O destroying mountain, says Yahweh, that destroys all the earth. So that's the mountain of Babylon that's over the whole earth. So Mystery Babylon sits on 7 mountains, okay? So that is what this is talking about. He's going to destroy those 7 mountains. He's going to destroy Mystery Babylon. Okay, I will stretch out my hand upon you and roll you down from the rocks, and I will make you a burnt mountain. Okay, destruction of Mystery Babylon is a type of what we see in Daniel. Daniel saw a statue, and the statue was gold, and then it was silver, and it was bronze, and then it was iron, and the feet iron mixed with clay. Then a stone came and destroyed that mountain. Okay, and then a new kingdom was set up. So that stone coming is the Lord Jesus Christ. Lord Jesus Christ is going to reign, destroy all these nations, destroy all these kingdoms, and he's going to reign. Okay, so the people of the Most High must assemble into this army. And when they shall not take you a stone for a corner, nor a stone for a foundation. Okay, so this is this stone that's coming. Let's get our stone. So the stone is Lord Jesus Christ is going to destroy Babylon. Okay, when we also can see the angel of Revelation 18, he has a stone and he casts it into the waters, destroying Babylon. And here we can see the stone. They shall not take you a stone for a corner, nor a stone for foundations, and thou shalt be desolate forever, says Yahweh. Set up a standard in the land, blow the trumpet. Okay, set up a standard. Set up the standard is set up a banner. Okay, set up a banner. Babylon is fallen, and then blow the trumpet. Okay, so we're blowing the trumpet, and this is the trumpets we've been showing you in Joel, as well as you can see in the song. Blow the trumpet in Mount Zion. Okay, set up a standard, blow the trumpet among the nations, prepare the nations against her. Call together against the nations of Ararat, Mini, Ashkenaz, appoint captains. Okay, and then it says, prepare the nations of the kings of the Medes. Okay, so these are the 4 angels that are released for a day, an hour, a month, and a year. Okay, so they're released against her. Cause the horses to come up as rough caterpillars. So the war is against the caterpillars, against the locusts. Prepare against her, the captains thereof, and the rulers, and all the land of his dominion. And the land shall tremble and sorrow, for every purpose of Yahweh shall be performed. So that's the destruction of Babylon. That is the blowing of the trumpet, okay? And And this is guys, it's if you read this, you should read this, you should read it over and over. If you read this, you would have never stayed in America. Never. You would have done whatever it takes to get out of there. Now, there are other bad places, okay? You could even see it with the virus. It's not just that there's, that's just the worst place, but that's where my audience is, About 3/4 of my audience is Americans, and, some of you knew this, but you didn't leave. You didn't do anything. You didn't act on what you knew in the prophecy. So it's going to be tough, all right? It's no condemnation. I'm just saying I wouldn't want to be there. So Babylon is fallen. That's what we can see in Jeremiah 50 and 51. And a lot of people, there's prophetic words, and people are talking about the destruction of America. Yeah, that's what it says, okay? So these are the prophecies. Babylon is fallen. It is presently happening. We can understand through the prophecy the information on the pharmakia. The people repented not of the plagues, okay? So this is our second angel, okay? So we have our second angel. Our second angel, his message is Babylon is fallen, is fallen, is fallen. Just to explain the Revelation 18 that we have the drunk nations. So it talks about the nations were drunk, and those are the drunk nations. Those are listed in Jeremiah 25. Then it talks about the merchants, and the merchant nations are also listed, in this case, Ezekiel 27. So we can see that the drunk nations add up to 24. Okay, 24 drunk nations. Okay, and then you have a total of 39 of the merchant nations. We also have the 7 mountains, or also called the 7 daughters of famous nations. We're not going to spend a lot of time here, but here you can see them. Edom is Rome, Brussels, Zidon, London, Egypt, Jerusalem, Asher, USA, New York. Elam is the 2 branches of Islam. Mecca, Iran. Meshech is Moscow, Russia. Tubal is Beijing. So those are the main 7 mountains, okay? So if we add up the 7 plus the 24 plus 39 is the 70 nations, okay? So when the Sanhedrin says the 70 nations, what they're talking about is they need the 70 nations to build the temple, okay? Now, these are just, of course, small gatherings and everything. But what's really going on is this is what is influencing the White House. So what is the merchandise? So in Mystery Babylon, a merchandise inventory is listed in Revelation 18, verses 12 and 13. A bunch of things are listed. Gold, silver, brass, iron, okay? All those things you see listed here in red, okay? All of those things listed, there's how many? I don't know. There's too many to count. All right. So all those things are in Solomon's temple. So in Solomon's temple, every single detail of everything described in Revelation 18 relates to Solomon's temple. So we know that the merchandise is the 3rd temple. Okay? That is the interpretation of the 3rd temple. And then the other thing is all the inventory as well is listed in the merchants of Ezekiel 27. So the merchants bring the gold, the silver, the brass. They bring everything to build the 3rd temple. Okay? That's why the Jews say the Goyim have to build a 3rd temple. Now I do have another whole playlist on Mystery Babylon. So if you have, I'm sure you have lots of questions, or what about this, what about that? We've covered a lot of this already, and you'll probably find answers in the Mystery Babylon playlist. So we'll link this video as part of Mystery Babylon and part of the 4 angels message. Okay? So you can also see here we have the 10 horns and 10 kings. So we have a whole other video on that. So guys, thanks for watching. As we say, fear God. Give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come. Worship him that made the heavens, the earth, the seas, and the fountains of waters. Amen.